Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I have the cheapest unlocked smartphone that is Prime eligible on Amazon. This is the Blue Advance A4 2019, and as I said, this is the cheapest unlocked phone that is Prime eligible on Amazon.com. So what do you get for that kind of money? Well, you get a 4-inch display, a quad-core 1.3 gigahertz processor paired with a Mali 400 GPU, a 5 megapixel main camera plus a flash, 2 megapixel selfie camera, 16 gigs of internal memory with a micro SD expansion port for up to 64 extra gigabytes, 3G international and 4G HESPA plus in the US, and it's running Android 8.1 Oreo Go edition. And that Go edition is important because since the processor and GPU on this phone aren't the greatest, the Go edition part basically just lightens it up and makes it feel a lot more snappier. So taking a look at the listing, as you can see, this phone is dual SIM and it's running Android 8.1, as I said. They're calling it the Vivid 4-inch touchscreen display, and it has the 16 gigs of internal memory, 512 megabytes of RAM, so it's got half a gig of RAM paired with it, which really, all things considered, isn't that bad. And it's GSM quad band, so it's pretty much nationwide compatible with everything. However, they do claim that it's not compatible with CDMA networks like Verizon, Sprint, and Boost Mobile. However, people in the reviews claimed that they have been able to get it work with those companies. So getting into the unboxing here, seems like we just have this one seal right here. So we're going to go ahead and get that open. Alright. Get it turned the right way. Alright, and we can see it's actually packaged just presentation wise quite nicely for a $40 phone. So we're gonna go ahead and take the phone out and set it to the side. First impressions, it actually does feel kind of heavy. I'm not sure if this has a battery that you have to install yourself or if it's even removable, but it feels like the battery's in there if it's removable. IOMEI information. Alright. And I've noticed Blue does this a lot. The charging brick is actually just connected to the cord. So if you want to connect it to your computer or something like that, you're going to have to get a different micro USB cable to connect it to your computer. Alright, and it actually does have a removable battery, so we are going to have to install that. And weirdly enough, I've noticed with a lot of these cheaper phones, they come with cases, which is super thoughtful and super awesome. I wish bigger companies like Samsung and Apple would start doing that, because it just makes it so much easier when you first get your phone. You can slap a case on it and not have to worry about scratching or dropping or cracking it. And then it seems like we just have a little instruction booklet here specific to the phone, a SIM installation guide, and a blue sticker. So that's all that's in the box, so we're going to go ahead and toss all this back in here. Alright, so let's get to getting this phone out. So it just has some specs written on the plastic that protects the screen. And as I said, this phone actually does feel pretty hefty. It's actually really comfortable in the hand, so that's nice. Alright, so it looks like the volume rocker and the power button are going to be on the left hand side. We do have a 2 megapixel selfie camera right there, and the 5 megapixel main sensor right there with the flash. It's got this textured dimpled back and a rear firing speaker. The headphone jack and the micro USB port are going to be on the top of the phone, and on the bottom of the phone we just have a microphone. Getting to installing the actual battery, there seems to be a lip right here. You just pull it up with your nail. And right here we have the 2 spots to install the dual SIM, and right here seems like the place to install the micro SD. So I'm going to grab a SIM and a micro SD, and we're going to slap them in here. Alright, so I just got the SIM and micro SD card installed, and something that they don't mention in the ad or any of the answers that were questions was what size SIM does it use? It uses a micro SIM, not a nano, not a standard. It uses normal micro SIM, so not the newest thing, but not the oldest. Installed, and let's see how quick this looks. Alright, so the vibration motor went a little bit crazy there. Alright. Kind of a wild animation there. So that took probably about as long as I thought it would. I mean, it's definitely not a quick boot up, but it's also definitely not the slowest thing in the world. Alright, I went ahead and threw the case on it, and I'm gonna go ahead and set it up, and I'll be back with y'all in a second. Turning it on, you can see the just scrolling through the home screen isn't too bad. There's a little bit of lag here and there, but overall, it's actually a lot better than I thought it was, and it's actually a lot better than it was, you know, a few minutes ago already. So I'm gonna say that a lot of the issues that I had were due to the phone downloading and using a lot of processing power, just like already. Alright, so looking at some of the specs on CPU-Z, it is a 4-core processor, 1300 megahertz. Sorry it's making those sounds. This is saying that it is the model Advance L5, and also I did notice that the GPU was different than the listing. This is the 10820, and the listing, I think it was the Mali 400. So different GPU, and the device I got was apparently the Advance L5 model. So I'm not sure what that is about. The screen resolution is 480 by 800, and you can, you know, it's really not as bad as it seems. When you get real close in there, you can see individual pixels, but it's not horrible. Available RAM is only 122 megabytes, so we only have 25%, a quarter of the total RAM available, and we're not even really doing anything right now. This is the only app that I actually have open too, so we are confirmed running Android 8.1.0 Oreo, and everything else looks pretty good. Came about half charged. It's saying that the health is good. So overall, everything's looking really weird. Mostly because of that Advance L5 thing. I mean, it's the A4 packaging, but I'm wondering if they put the wrong device in it. So I looked on Amazon, and the Advance L5 is actually $10 more expensive than the A4. So I don't know if this is a problem on CPU-Z's part or what, but it's just very odd and something to point out there. Alright, so here we are on Google Chrome, and this brings up one of the biggest flaws of this phone. Now, a lot of people like a smaller display just because it's easier, fits in your hand better, you can reach across it, there's no real big issues with it. However, the typing, especially with this cheaper, smaller display, typing is just an absolute pain. It's constant mixed clicks and constant just messing things up and having to backspace, and since it's not the fastest phone in the world, it can get frustrating pretty quickly. trying to sit here and type something out and then having to backspace and waiting a second for that to process. It's not the best thing in the world. Alright, so typing out Samsung.com. Alright. That really wasn't too bad. That was actually pretty quick. See, this is another thing. I'm pressing this X, and it took that long for it to go away. Definitely not the smoothest experience, but I mean, it's usable. I mean, that's about how to describe this phone in the most basic terms, is that it's usable. If that's what you're looking for in a phone, you're not looking for anything fancy, just something that's cheap that'll get the job done. You can do some Google searches on, maybe watch some YouTube, snap a few pictures. I mean, this'll do it pretty well, especially for the price. Now, in terms of bloatware on this phone, there's none. The only odd app that I see is Opera Mini, which is pretty weird. But other than that, oh wait. Okay, actually, there is a bloatware folder. It's in a folder. Weather, that's not bad. Blue News, Facebook, Bing, and Yahoo are pretty much going to be the bloatware, so that's not too bad. Two dying internet search things. Facebook, which is kind of randomly tossed in there. Blue News, which when you set up the phone, it tries to get you to sign up for it. But why would I want to sign up for it? It kind of seems like unnecessary. But I mean, overall, really the bloatware is pretty much just Opera Mini. And you can just delete Bing and Yahoo. It's already got Google Chrome on it, and then you're good. So onto the camera itself. So I'm going to show y'all what it looks like through my camera, and then I'm going to put some pictures and maybe a video up on the screen for y'all. So camera app's taking a little bit to load, but there we go. Yeah, I mean, it's really not going to look the best on y'all's screen, especially because the viewing angles of this phone, which is another thing that I have to point out, the viewing angles aren't the greatest. They're, if you're into privacy, then this is really good for you, but, other than that, the viewing angles are pretty much horrendous. Honestly, overall, I'd say the pictures really aren't too bad. The selfie camera could definitely use a little love, but the main sensor, the 5 megapixel sensor, in good lighting, it's pretty good. I mean, it'll definitely get the job done. In low lighting, both cameras just suffer dramatically. I mean, you can't even tell what you're looking at in low lighting. I mean, it's pretty bad. So there's that. And YouTube on this phone really actually isn't nearly as bad as you think. It's actually pretty good. And testing out the speakers, so the speaker really isn't the greatest or the loudest, but they definitely went over quality over volume. There's a lot of speakers out there on phones that are really loud, but they really lack and sound super muffled. This speaker actually doesn't get super loud, but it actually sounds pretty good. I mean, so overall, if you're looking for a cheap phone that'll just get it done, maybe a backup phone, I mean, I'm sure the battery on this will last you, a good day and a half, 2 days just because of the size and resolution of the display. There's not a whole lot that battery really has to do. And I mean, it'll be on standby for, I'm sure, 15-20 days before the battery will die, so you can just toss in something if you want. If you're looking for a phone that just gets it done, this is definitely the phone to go with. 40 bucks, can't really go wrong. It's got its problems. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but overall, I mean, I would recommend this phone if you were just looking for something that just kind of does it. Doesn't do anything particularly well, but it just kind of gets it through. It's like taking a test and getting a D on it. That's kind of how this phone is. Like, you're just barely passing, but it certainly ain't something to write home about. But overall, I'd say I would recommend the A4 for very certain situations. Um, if you're looking for anything that's more towards the higher end, you can pay 50 bucks extra and get a phone that's about 10 times more usable than this. So, I mean, this is like a bare bones phone. So you gotta kind of have to keep that in mind, especially when you consider the price. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There will be a durability test of this phone coming up within the next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Later.